I don't want to do this. I don't want to talk about this. I don't want to make this video. I don't want to talk about how Wonder Egg Priority just became the biggest disappointment for a lot of people in anime in recent times. I don't want to talk about how 10 episodes of breathtaking storytelling and animation just got wasted. I don't want to talk about how a show that seemed to have a genuine understanding of depression, of getting over trauma, of abusive behaviors. I don't want to say that this show just forgot all about that in the last 2 episodes. I don't want to mention how episode 12 had fairly crummy animation. Yeah, there. I said it. No one's talking about that. But there was like no animation for the first minute of this. But here we are. After 12 episodes and one recap of many people saying Wonder Egg Priority was going to be anime of the season. I thought that too. Hell, I thought this was a contender for anime of the year. That's right. I didn't give a crap about Attack on Titan, Promised Neverland, Jujutsu Kaisen. I kind of care about ReZero, but not more than I cared about this. I genuinely was in love with this show. From episode 1, I was hooked. Many people said the first episode of this show was the best first episode of an anime in a long time, and I gotta 100% agree. I genuinely wanted to know what was happening. I genuinely fell in love with Ai and the other 3 girls, and I wanted to know more about them. I loved watching their drama played out. I loved watching what was going on in their lives. I loved how often we were just in their heads dealing with what they were dealing with, seeing how they got through it. I thought this was genuinely well done and beautiful to see executed on screen. And it just completely falls apart hard. Now, some may say it's still worth the ride, but considering where this ride drops you off, you're probably better off trying another ride. So yeah, let's go into it. Let us start right at the beginning and find out how this show went from being so beloved and had a strong but small fan base to... yeah, let's just get into it. So, episode 1. Most people are immediately completely hooked. You have this girl, Ai, and the show opens with very little dialogue. Much of the first few minutes of this show is just showing you, that's right, not telling you, showing you that this girl has gone through pain. Something bad has happened in her life. Things aren't going well, and she's not dealing with it well. Do you have any idea how few anime actually talk about depression and deal with it? Yeah, there's March Comes In Like a Lion. Yeah, there's elements of it in ReZero. Yeah, there's Ava, there's Angel Beats, there's Charlotte. There are shows that deal with this subject matter. But A, not enough. And B, in a world where there's 50,000 isekais every 5 minutes, can't I just have 1 or 2 anime like once a year that are willing to deal with these subjects that are so relevant in today's society? Yeah, if you couldn't tell, I'm really sick of the typical Babylon structure of dealing with these subjects where we just drain all the emotion out of it and just treat it like a weird factual thing. This show actually was about characters and their drama, to the point where the plot didn't matter. Yeah, the plot of this show was basically irrelevant for 10 episodes. They went out of their way to tell you this. Episode 1 sets up all these mystery boxes, all this weird shit going on, and the show establishes that none of it is important. The priority of this show is these girls and what they're going through and their drama. And you know what? I was on board. I was fine with this. I completely was okay with the fact that we were never going to get answers. That's what made Angel Beats so good. The show decided it wasn't going to really give you answers. You get assumptions, you get educated guesses as to what's happening, but the show struck true to its idea and did not give you the full answers when it was over, and it was satisfying for that. Media teaches you how you're supposed to consume it. The problem Wonder Egg Priority and a lot of other shows like it end up usually having is that they then choose to explain everything, to spoon feed you the information and try to all bring it together and make it sound like it was one big plan from the start when It clearly wasn't, and this might be one of the worst showings and best examples of there was no plan. There is clearly a huge disconnect between where the show ends and where it starts, and it all comes from this plot. So yeah, we've got to now go into spoiler territory because it's all in the last couple of episodes. So yeah, if you're still curious about the show and want to check it out, you should. And then come back. So yeah, so the first big problem we have is after about a dozen episodes of no plot, we are then given one, and it's a bad one. So, originally the conflict of this show was internal, just the characters trying to get over their problems. Now all of a sudden, we've got bad guys. Yeah, we've got genuine villains that need to be stopped. And not if you thought the two weird guys were villains, but no, there's a genuine monster girl who kills the stupid pet thing and makes Momo eat it. This is creepy and it's scary, but where did this fit in with anything? Then, after that, we have to deal with the fact that we get a whole episode of backstory where we find out there is a villain who is, I guess, causing young girls to commit suicide. This is such a big fucking problem. For starters, you really can't turn a plot from internal to external. You can go the other way as you learn about characters, but once you've established that we're character first, you can't really go back. So to have a villain who's just like, woo, I'm causing suicide for some reason, and this world is all about stopping me, or something, or who fucking cares? Who really fucking cares? Yeah, it's really bad. There's also the next big problem, and that is all of a sudden our characters' internal logic started failing. After all these episodes of being in these girls' heads and seeing everything they were going through, now all of a sudden I really can't follow their decision making. For starters, after learning that these two guys have something to do with increased suicide rates, you know, the thing our characters are trying to deal with, Rika and Momo are just like, well, we want answers, except other things, so we're not gonna get answers. I understand the desire to end with that joke and, like, move on to the other plot line, but at the same time, you can't just open something like this and end it. At least have them, like, make an excuse or something. But no, like, they just completely open a mystery box, and then right when you're about to get some answers, close it again. This is then ruined by the end of the same episode, where the villain shows up and scares the shit out of Momo by killing her fucking pet. Then, Momo is traumatized, which makes sense. So what's the logical thing? Have the other three try and help her get through it. Except no, that's not what happens. We get Rika on her own where we get the stupid exposition dump. And then, in the next episode, everyone just hates each other now and doesn't want to be friends and doesn't want to help each other and doesn't want to get through their problems together. That doesn't fit what was going on. There is no logical reason for me to believe that these girls would suddenly be against each other. Why aren't we watching them try and help each other get through it? Isn't that what everything was building to? Isn't that what them trying to process and trying to understand their grief was ultimately all about? Where is that? Where is the rest of the plot? The last two episodes just go on as is. Ai just goes back to hunting more eggs so she can try and save her friend. Well, did the other girls come back to life? Is that what happened? Is that how this works? Why aren't you telling me anything, show? You're the one setting this crap up! And so yeah, I like the idea of Ai confronting another version of herself where she didn't get through her depression, but like now alternate dimensions exist? Where even are we? What is even happening? And like then it just ends. And like Ai is just like alone and crying and the alternate version of her now needs an eye patch. That's how this ends and resolves. It's not earned. It's not the story we were building to. None of this fits or belongs. Many people are convinced the week where we got the recap episode, something went very wrong with the production. I remember when the recap episode was announced, a lot of people lost their shit online. I was thinking to myself, there's no way this goes that wrong. It went that wrong and worse. So, yeah, that is Wonder Egg priority. The only other thing of note is that as of right now, there is some kind of special scheduled for June 30th. And if this wraps things up in a good way, more power to it. I would love to come in here and finally do all that gushing I wanted to do. But I can't see how you wrap this big a mess up in 22 minutes. Many people feel that the last episode is cliffhanger for season 2, but at the end of the show, Ai's voice actress goes, "Thank you for watching," which usually is a sign there is no planned season 2. Maybe that's what caused the disruption, them learning they weren't getting a continuation. But at the same time, this didn't do that great. It didn't do super well here because Funimation did a shit job of marketing the billion anime they bought last season. And I don't think it did too well in Japan either because, well, it's so weird and unusual and we've been burnt by so many of these abstract philosophical... I can't even get words right! You get the point. We've been burnt by so many of these anime before, you're probably going through your list of them in your head. So yeah, that was Wonder Egg Priority. Did it let you down as much as it let me down? A lot of people just didn't even want to watch this because they were afraid of being let down. So yeah, tell me that below. And as always, click to like, click to subscribe, and I promise next we're going to talk more about positive stuff. Just, God, I wanted to love this so bad.